Oi, oi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me all right. I think so. Looks like the levels jump when I do this. Yep, they do. Lovely. Barbecuing, good to see you, man. Good to see you. It's coming down. So, look, it's another session of my weekly Q&As. I actually haven't had any questions this week, which is kind of cool. So, obviously, if you do have questions, pop them in the chat right now, or at any point throughout this, and I'll try and cover it, or give an honest answer if I can. But what I thought I would do is I'd talk a little bit about variations of timing, and in particular, like where you've got like 3-note patterns over a 4, kind of, or over divisions of 4, slightly dipping into things like polyrhythm, and just as a sort of reminder that, you know, to some extent you actually have quite a lot more in your repertoire than you necessarily think you do. So if you have some patterns that you know, have you tried them in different ways? So right, you know, so that as an example, really, you know, like that I'm doing the chirp flare, so it's a chirp followed by a 1-click flare, right? So right, it's a 6-note pattern because there's 2 notes in the chirp and there's 4 notes in the 1-click flare. Right, and so as a result, you've got 6 notes to play with. Now, most tracks, like this one, are split into divisions of 4, right? So here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you've got that split down again. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and or even more than that, right? So 1 eander is the 1 for 16th notes, so it would be 1 eander, 2 eander, 3 eander, 4 eander, right? So you're going right, and so if I've got that, that means that actually my starting point is going to move, right? So it's going to be going right? I'm not always coming back to the beginning on the first beat. Now, that's obviously doing that following, you know, 6 notes over what would effectively be an 8-note kind of pattern in that way. But if you were to you could do it as triplets, right? Because it's 6 notes. Triplets is 1 ander, 2 ander, 3 ander, 4 ander, 1 ander, 2 ander, 3 ander, 4 ander. So standard timing. Triplets becomes and so what you can do is I'm going to start moving through them. I'm going to go from like triplets back to kind of standard timing, back to triplets but at double time and so on. So it would be something like this. Right, and that's all the same technique, but I'm just moving across from one kind of rhythm to another. Now, of course, the thing to bear in mind is that when you've got something that has 6 notes in it and you're doing it over a 4 pattern, the emphasis is going to change, and that's actually really cool, right? It's called a polyrhythm. It's basically where you have divisions that are a bit weird, and so the accent of what you're doing ends up moving along. So in this instance, you know, hear how the accent on that is kind of moving. It's not in a fixed place, whereas is in the same place every single time, right? It's always on that kind of, always on that beat. So that's because triplets in this instance is more of a natural rhythm for this because it's got 6 notes, right? So that kind of, it almost makes more sense there. But technique for you to try and do is just start swapping between these because it's really handy. You know, you could just be doing some cutting and switching the rhythm. Is a really cool way to do exactly the same thing but make it sound like it's kind of clever, and people suddenly buy into that change in the rhythm as well. So it's a really kind of effective way to get more bang for your buck. Now there's lots of kind of examples, right? So obviously the 2-click flare, right, and you can accent that in different ways. That you're supposed to go in and accent the 3rd and the 6th notes like that, but you can also do it on the 1st and the 3rd, so more like this. But the way that works is it's kind of two quicker notes, 2 16th notes and an 8th note. So a longer note, right? So it's, so if you listen to that, it's going da 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 da, and that's how the 3 notes fit over a 4-note pattern, because it's da da, and then da is 2 of those, is the same length as that da da, so it's da 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 da. So you're getting. But what you can do is you can make that 3rd note the same length as the other 2, so it becomes a set of 3, and then repeat it round. Now obviously if you do that, think about the maths of it, you've basically got, it's going to go 3, 3, 3, is going to give you 9 segments on an 8-bar thing. So what it means is that last note, that one there, that's going to be on the 1. So if you listen, I'm going to do 2 that are normal, so 2 that are in the standard timing, which is like this. And then I'm going to do it as 3 consecutive hits of 3. So it's going to go like this. Normal. Did you hear that, how that last one was at a different timing? So again, here you go, you've got normal, and that last one was different. Right, cool way, same, exactly the same technique. I'm doing anything different with the crossfader, I'm just changing the timing on it. So if we choose a faster beat, right, for example, let's choose this one. Right, cool little bit of variation there. All exactly the same technique. Not doing anything different or anything kind of special there. So what I would suggest, right, is whenever you're learning something, whenever you're learning a technique, take note of how many notes there are and how those notes actually have to sit on the rhythm. Now, obviously, you're going to have to do that to learn it properly, right? But then think about how can I change that to fit over other rhythms or with other rhythms, and you start by doing this with your techniques, right? So you're like, okay, fine, a stab is a single note, right? Well, that can go over anything. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're trying it out with different rhythms, right? So a stab is just, right? Now there I'm doing that as kind of on an eighth note rhythm, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I should try that on triplets, right? So right? So before you kind of get into any kind of speed training or anything like that, just make sure that you've tried using, even a single note pattern in different timings. Because here I can go,